Yo guys, it's Kyle coming at you from Bane's Film Reviews. I just saw Kraven the Hunter, directed by J.C. Shandor and starring Aaron Taylor Johnson. Kraven the Hunter is officially the last of these Sony Spider-Verse movies that don't have Spider-Man in them, and I'm sort of thrilled. I've heard bad things about this film. I didn't anticipate that it would be good anyway. Just the way that this universe was trending. Venom was fine. Venom 2 and 3 were okay. And then the last two installments, other than the Venom trilogy, was Madam Web, which was absolutely one of the worst things that I've seen in my life, followed by Morbius. That was almost as bad, but not quite as bad, but still, harrowing. Kraven the Hunter follows, Kraven the Hunter, who is famous for being a Spider-Man villain. And in this universe, Sony decided that they were going to take these villains and manipulate them into heroes of sorts. And that's what happens here. Everything you've heard about this film is true. The dialogue is laughable, but not really laughable. It's so bad that I was just unhappy listening to it. And it serves no purpose. The dialogue leads us nowhere. It's not believable. It steals from what could have potentially been intense. And it just is dry, it's flat, and it's completely lifeless. Then the script as a whole, outside of the dialogue, is also just relatively atrocious. And these actors are sort of left to their own devices, and while their devices are typically spectacular, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ariana DeBose, Russell Crowe, Alessandra Nivola, these guys are fantastic actors, and I've seen them in a multitude of things in which they've flourished. Now, they've probably never been given scripts as bad as this, but I think a combination of this terrible script and what appears to be terrible direction just absolutely flattened them before the film even got started. I felt bad for these actors because this is sort of a trend that these big actors want to get into Marvel films because they're grossing billions of dollars at the box office, and they want to be involved in this, and it helps to jumpstart their careers. So again, I feel bad for them because they're left with nothing, and they ultimately look like failures as a result. They aren't able to appeal to viewers. They aren't able to develop emotion. They really don't do anything to reel viewers in. And that's sort of the theme of the entire film. There's nothing there to hold on to. There's no emotion present. The CGI is mediocre, average at best, and the more I looked at it, hoping that it would get slightly better or even just continue to appeal to me in the most rudimentary of ways, I found myself hating it by the end of the film. There are moments where it is absolutely atrocious, and I found myself cringing at the fact that someone sat down and watched this film looking at the CGI and went, yes, that's okay, because it's not. I, with absolutely no experience, probably could sit in my basement and develop something almost as good. And that's a huge disappointment. Again, while I did not have high expectations for Kraven, I expected that at least these people would be able to do their jobs. And they achieved nothing. They were not in any way successful. And again, I'm not blaming this cast and this crew entirely, because I feel like the director and the people that sat at the top of this and allowed this film to happen and come to be, they are the ones to blame. And I'm actually genuinely mad at this film. Kraven has the potential, the character has the potential to be interesting. And I think in the right hands, with Aaron Taylor Johnson, he has the potential to be a compelling character. But there's nothing here. I'm so disappointed in this, and I really thought that the team should have leaned more heavily into this intense action, but the choreography is sort of bogus, and the editing is choppy, and there's not much good that I can say about this. The only good thing I can say is that on paper, this film had potential. I mean, not when the script was written out, but on some hypothetical paper somewhere, like maybe on a napkin, where someone said, let's create a movie with Kraven the Hunter. And beyond that, it was trash. I am glad that this universe is over. I again feel really bad for Aaron Taylor Johnson because this is now the second time that he's sort of been hosed by Marvel. In the MCU, where he had a really short stint as Quicksilver, and I thought he was wonderful there, but he didn't have the opportunity to flourish because he had such a short stint. And now with Kraven the Hunter, where he was given absolutely nothing to work with. Terrible scripts, horrible direction, bad editing, atrocious CGI, and just an overall failure of a film. I'm going to give Kraven the Hunter the lowest rating that I've ever given a Marvel film. And I think part of that is I am just so emotionally distraught over this. I don't actually think that it's worse than Morbius. I don't actually think that it's worse than Madam Web. But I'm so frustrated with this film, with what it could have been, given the level of talent present in it. I'm going to give Kraven the Hunter a 2.5 out of 10. Because I think this is just absolutely ridiculous that a multitude of people sat down, watched the final cut of this, or even pieces of this, because every piece of this, every crevice of this film is a failure. That many people sat down and watched any aspect of this film and went, you've got something there. And the fact that the director pleaded with potential viewers and said, don't let the failures of Sony's past deter you from seeing this film, you're a liar. You're a liar. This is not good. I'm so disappointed. And the more I talk about it, the more frustrated that I get. So I'm going to clock out now. Again, I am giving this a 2.5 out of 10. Don't go see this movie. I beg you. Until next time, peace.